Here's something that might blow your mind. The letter E in Portuguese, it can make 4 completely different sounds. 4. And the crazy part is, if you're getting them wrong, you're instantly giving yourself away as a beginner. But if you get them right, that's when the magic starts to happen. Suddenly you sound so much more natural and people will actually want to keep chatting with you in Portuguese instead of switching to English. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you the exact system I use with my Portuguese Pro students to master all 4 of the E sounds, the same system that's helped people get complimented on their pronunciation and even mistaken for advanced learners. Like Alden, who shared inside our community that people in Portugal aren't mistaking him for a local because of how good his accent is. Or Wendy, whose Portuguese was so good at a restaurant that the server was stunned to discover that she spoke English. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which E sound to use when, so you can stop second guessing yourself every time you speak. My name's Liz and I teach European Portuguese in plain English, and my students regularly shock locals with their pronunciation. And this is what happens when you nail the fundamentals, and you're about to learn exactly how to do that. Speaking of pronunciation fundamentals, if you haven't grabbed my free pronunciation guide yet, make sure you do. It covers 7 of the most difficult sounds in Portugal with native speaker audio. Just comment pronunciation and I'll send you the link. So let's dive into these 4 E sounds. This has come up so many times in my pronunciation workshops that I knew I had to make a video about it. So first, let's go through all the sounds and what we call them. I call them the open E, middle E, the closed E, and the E sound. So the IPA symbols are here on the screen to show you that they are all different, distinct sounds, but don't worry about memorizing those. Focus on the sounds and the memory tricks that I'm about to give you. So which is the one that causes the most confusion? It's when E stands alone and it has no accent, then it means the word and. Now this is really easy to spot because he's literally just sitting out there on his own. So if we saw this written down, Maria e João, you would need to pronounce that and as E and not E. This trips up so many English speakers because we're deeply programmed to say E when you see the letter E, like E for elephant, the phonics that we learn as kids. But we don't want that, we want the sound E. It's the same as an I in Portuguese, like the I in Maria. So this is unique to Portuguese and you just have to memorize this one. Now for the open E, E. You should be able to see the way that I opened my mouth a lot there to make that sound. That's why it's the open E, E. But how do we know when to make this sound? Well, the most obvious instance is when you see an acute accent going up like this. And the trick I want you to remember, think of this E as having an open door or an open lid. It's really telling you to open up your mouth more to make this sound. So when we see an E standing alone with an accent, it doesn't mean and, it means it is. So we've got the accent on there, that open door telling me to open the mouth. So I say E. This is E. This is E. This is E. This is E. These are both such common words, so do not get them confused like so many people do, because saying them correctly will improve your accent a ton. The next E we are going to tackle is the middle E. 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 It doesn't always have an accent, but when it does, it's the circumflex, the little hat, or again, you can think of it as a lid that is closing down the sound. It's not open, it's closed. So this sound is somewhere between the open E and the closed U. It's kind of in the middle, and that's why we call it the middle E. You'll find it in words like português, francês, mesmo. It's likely to be the one that you'll be using in the middle of words. So finally, the 4th sound is the closed E, and this is where it does get really interesting, the closed E, because it doesn't exist in English, which is why it's so tricky for us. It sounds like a very short almost like it's disappearing. You'll hear it in pode, disse, bebe, So the important thing to remember is when a word ends in an E and there's no accent, you can be sure that this is a closed E sound. So you don't want to do that really tempting thing of opening it up and stressing the E like so many people would do in a word like igualmente. Think of that T at the end as half a syllable. That will help you say it with a more closed sound like the Portuguese would. Igualmente. So if you've ever wondered why Portuguese speakers seem to talk so quickly, that's actually a big part of the answer. These closed vowels get shortened and almost swallowed up, which is what gives Portuguese that very rapid fire sound. I actually made a whole video breaking this down, so definitely check that out after this one. The link will be in the description. So as a recap, here is my process of elimination technique to know when to use each sound. Is the E standing alone without an accent? Then it's the word and we use the E sound. Does it have an acute accent going upwards? Then it's the open E, e. Does it have a circumflex, that little hat? Then it's the middle E. Is it the end of a word or in an unstressed syllable? Then it's going to be the closed sound. For everything else, you are looking at either the open or the middle E, and honestly, they're similar enough that you can probably get it right. So let's test you and see if you can identify which E sound to use. I'm going to give you some words you'll use every day in Portugal, and I want you to try them out loud and see if you get them right. Here's the first one. That one is E. It's meaning and, it's by itself, no accent. E tu means and you. How about this one? Well, because this one has the open accent, it's going to be the open E. É verdade? Is it true? In the word verdade, both of the E's are closed because they are the unstressed syllables. The stress falls on the penultimate syllable, on the da. If you need more information about how to actually determine where the stress goes in a Portuguese word, I did a whole video on it over here. Next, this word. This is desculpe, and they are both going to be closed E's once again because the stress is going on the cool, and the other two syllables where the E's are unstressed. And finally, this word. Well, it has that circumflex on the E, so it's going to be the middle E sound. English, English. So how did you do? Don't worry if you didn't get them all. This does take practice. But if this has been helpful and things are starting to click, I have got lots of videos that are really going to help cement this knowledge. I did one specifically on fixing your E's and I's that goes deeper into this common mistake. And I've also got a pronunciation cheat codes video that covers all these visual memory tricks. And another one comparing the closed A and the closed E sounds, which are very easy to mix up. I'm going to link all of these in the description. Now, you might be thinking, is getting these E sounds really that big a deal? Trust me, it absolutely is. When you nail your pronunciation, everything starts to change. Just like Stephen, who got back from Porto, where locals said parabéns and complimented him on his pronunciation. Or Jackie, who got complimented on her pronunciation during her trip to Portugal recently. This is what happens when you focus on these fundamentals instead of just memorizing vocabulary lists. So there you have it, the 4 E sounds that can transform your Portuguese pronunciation. The truth is, pronunciation really is the foundation of everything in Portuguese. You can memorize thousands of words and spend hours on apps, but if people can't actually understand how you're saying these words, you're going to have those frustrating moments where conversations just don't flow naturally and people will often resort to English. So that's why I created my free lesson for beginners. It's an hour-long workshop where I break down not just pronunciation, but also essential grammar and my tips for understanding fast spoken Portuguese. The link to register is in the description below. I'll be back next week with more tips and tutorials to help you master Portuguese, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing. Ciao for now.